We're back again.
Hi, Lewis and Christina from Ascension Dimension. Back for another chat.
Coffee chat.
Chat style format. Because we've been through some stuff, so maybe you might not have to take so long to get to where we did.
Yeah. If this helps you, then wonderful.
Today's topic: parenting through. Well, you put the pandemic, but it's probably parenting through the Great Awakening, I suppose.
Yeah, it's parenting through the Great Awakening.
But yes, it was the biggest change for us is when the thing kicked off 2 years ago.
Yeah, the biggest change for us and for the kids, obviously, because it was quite scary for them. One day they're just going to school and everything's normal, and then all of a sudden we're all locked down. They've been told that there's this thing that's making everyone really sick, and they had nightmares, and they didn't understand. And then they've got parents, they listen to everything we say and they know what we're listening to, so they were a bit confused, weren't they? Well, ours haven't been so confused, but
So we've got 2 children.
Yeah, let's start there.
7 and 9.
Yeah.
And they're like little sponges, aren't they? They fortunately, we've been able to give them some good information. But yeah, some of the stuff that the schools were doing, like some of the propaganda videos, was horrific.
Yeah, I mean, when it was a bit of a shock for us that the school shut down and we just were stuck at home, because obviously we, having not been watched the news, like if you watched our last episode, we weren't really up with the fact that it was coming. And our little boy kept asking to call my grandmother, who lived in Florida at the time. It's like, I need to know she's okay. He was very, very worried. And then our daughter kept telling me about all these nightmares that she was having from these videos she was being shown at school. So yeah, it was a little bit of work to get that out of them and get them talking about it and stuff, but being open and honest, I think, has been key with them, and showing them everything that we see. We talk quite openly with our kids, and they know everything that's going on information wise. We explain it in a way that they can see it, but we also had to explain to them that it was okay, that they could go and see because my mum lives near us, so they could go and see her and she was going to be okay, because the school had really done a number on them.
I mean, if you're watching a channel like this, you're probably more than aware of the kind of issues that your kids might come up against at school. So I suppose the key thing is just to make sure that you know the message that's being delivered to them. And if the message that they're receiving in institutionalized education, well, you need to make sure that the message that you're giving them is very, very clear, and that they understand that sometimes they get different messages. And if you can get that across to your kids, that there's nothing to be worried about, and that the message that you have as a family supersedes everything else. And that's why family values are so important, because if you've got that trust and that bond in the family unit, that's great. You can take on the world, because no matter what anyone else is saying, if you've got that trust and honesty in amongst the family unit, then the kids don't need to worry, because they know what's going on, and they're like, when they're at school and they get that message, or their mates are walking around playing in the park with their masks on and their parents are terrified, but as long as your family message amongst your family unit is coherent and fearless, because we know what's really going on.
Because they do talk amongst themselves, the kids at school and stuff, and especially now there's a lot of the restrictions and stuff have been lifted, but there's this thing that hangs over everyone's heads at the moment, which is one of them that and we've had the situations here in Spain where it's the kids themselves that are ganging up on the ones that have and haven't, and they're making it kind of like a thing where it doesn't need to be that way, you know. So yeah, having the trust in the family unit is very important moving forwards in a world where the judgment is coming down from the parents, and the kids just copy what the parents do. So it's really, really important that we
not necessarily. A lot of kids are going against.
Yeah.
You know, there's some really difficult scenarios where kids are going against, you know, the message from the parents, and it's a hard one. We know it's a very hard situation if you've not got that alignment with everyone, you know, singing off the same hymn sheet, and it's going to be hard when you've got kids at a slightly older age, I suppose, when you've got their peer groups and the peer groups and peer press is a tough one. Yeah, well, yeah, we've been through that as well with the family, I suppose. When you've got older kids, regardless of how much information and stuff you give them, they might choose to. They're old enough; they choose to make the decisions for themselves, and unfortunately, we can't do anything about it. I think the biggest thing there was just understanding that the decision's not ours. It's not mine. It's not yours. It's when they're older. Yeah, it's theirs. For the older ones, it's theirs. But it's still family, and it still hurts. It's just like if someone's dead set on getting that, and they're old enough to make their own decisions, then that's the path that they've chosen. You know, you can just put the information there, and there's plenty of it.
And there's more and more of it coming out. So.
And you know, we don't know what's happened on a soul level, on a soul contract level, and everyone's got to follow their soul contract path. So, but if you've got your little kids, do your absolute best to stick up for those who can't stick up for themselves.
Yeah, that's really important.
I really thought that a lot more would do that when the mask thing came in. I really thought a lot more parents would have stood up, and because there's plenty of evidence that it was just absolute bollocks. I'm sorry, but it was just the whole thing. It's just like, what you're gonna. I mean, from the small times when I've had to put one on, I was getting infections on my face. I mean, you can still see I've got like the pigment on my face. It's not healthy. So not healthy. And the information that's been put out is like kids are very unsusceptible. So, and they're the worst, being treated the worst. Yeah,
I mean, I think a lot of people, I heard them say, a lot of friends and stuff and other parents were like, oh well, kids don't complain. It's like, well, they do. It's just we ignore them, or we swipe it away, and then they don't dare to complain to an adult a second time. They're like, oh, I don't want to wear it, because luckily ours are quite vocal in how they feel. Well, they're different. The older one, our son, is very vocal, and if he doesn't agree with something, then he'll tell you. And our daughter, she doesn't like to be seen as naughty. So at school, she'll do whatever she was told. So it's and you could. It really put me in a bad place, putting the face masks on them. But we don't have to go down that road. I think the most important thing that I got out of this, and that I think was really, really important, is that it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's your family, they're your kids, and you have to do what feels right for you. And you have to stay strong and knowing that it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, because we live in a society where we're really quick to judge, and everybody's parenting, everyone's got an opinion, everyone's got an idea, everyone's telling you you're doing it wrong, mainly because of the ability to judge and comment is so easy now with social media and stuff, and people aren't accountable for it. They don't do it to your face, and we just need. It's all part of your sovereignty, going back to being strong in yourself. And it's hard. It's very hard as a parent to stand up for yourself against all the other parents saying, well, you know what, I don't agree with it, because I've had to live that. It's like, well, yeah, I respect you and everything, but I don't understand what you're saying, and then being told that what I'm doing is completely wrong. It's like, well, sorry, but it's right for me.
As soon as you're authentic with your own thoughts and feelings, I mean, we're 2 years into this now, so I'm guessing most of you have already been through this.
But there'll be people going through it now with
as the situation gets squeezed and squeezed and squeezed more, people are sort of popping out of their slumber. But yeah, the sooner you're authentic with your message, you might get some short-term pain with losing people, or not, realizing that you don't have quite the same connection that you did, or that you thought, because you're just not so compatible. But that's fine in the long run, because your vibe attracts your tribe, and you, as soon as you're in touch with that authenticity and you embrace it, it might be scary at first, but you'll meet new people. You'll meet, your kids will meet new people, and you start making these new connections, forming new communities, and it's really nice. It just happens. It's amazing to see how it's happened for us the last couple of years. And you don't have to be running a YouTube channel or putting music out to do that. Just connecting with people locally. When you're tuned into that authenticity. Anyway, one of the things that I wanted to kind of move into a slightly more positive direction compared to what happened 2 years ago, is that the thing that I found quite beautiful is that as we've stepped into this journey of awakening and developing and evolving and learning, as soon as we get a concept that we're kind of bringing into our consciousness, we talk to our kids about it. Straight away, and they're very, very receptive, and it might be that they're closer in memory to their previous lives, and that they might have come from a higher dimensional existence, and to them they might already know, oh, okay, yeah, you're talking about energies. Well, I know about energies, I used to be able to fly and all this kind of stuff, but you just don't know. But it's really cool to don't worry about talking about these esoteric, more spiritual topics with your kids, because you might find that they're super receptive to it, and why not start out, if everyone's developing at the same pace, we learn new stuff and we talk to the kids about it, and then so like we do family qigong now. We started doing qigong. I thought, oh, this looks good, I like that, it makes me feel good. Now we're doing family qigong. As much as sometimes the kids don't like the slowness of it, but it's a great tool and it's great training to do it. But they're very receptive to the new stuff, the concepts we talk about dimensions, about energy, about chakras, about healing, all these things that the kids are just like, they don't. Not like, oh, you're crazy, Dad.
No, it's they don't question it as much.
This it works,
When we're going through certain subjects, like in the science book and stuff, and they're reading it, but that doesn't make sense. The other thing you were explaining to me makes more sense. So it's when you're looking at it from a logical point of view, like kids see things through completely different eyes, and it's a wonderful journey if you're a parent to learn all these things together. I've really enjoyed the whole meditation and energy work journey with the kids, because obviously it's something that's reawakened in me, but they're really just like, oh, what are you doing, mummy? Oh, can we help you? And they wanna be involved.
And we're fairly recently getting everyone to take responsibility for the words that they say, because words are spells. So whereas before we might casually say, oh, well, don't do that because you might break your leg. No, cancel it.
No, we're very careful.
Like, and so that, and now the kids are correcting each other, saying, no, cancel that. They're aware that when you're saying things that you're bringing them into existence in some way, shape or form. So they're as aware as we are, if not more so.
We watched a documentary. couple of years ago about water and the effects. It was that Japanese guy, I can't remember, I can't pronounce his name, I can't even remember it, but he'd done some studies on water, and he was photographing water that he took out of a polluted river and putting the intention of love into it, how it changed. And then recently I am part of a group, quite an amazing group, All for Choice, and they have meetings normally every Tuesday or every other Tuesday, and they have guest speakers, and there was a lady that came along called Veda Austin. She's nicknamed the Water Whisperer. Well, I watched her presentation, and it just blew me away. I absolutely loved it, and it's something that the kids and I really enjoyed doing, because it was about water, putting your intention into water and freezing it with this special technique. And that really brought to light the difference in how words can affect us, because we're 80% water, and we've all been learning that because we're learning about the body and science and stuff, and I think they really, really enjoyed that. So there's lots of fun ways of seeing all this, how this can affect you in reality.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed that anyway. And the words themselves, it brought it more to the forefront, as to they're cancelling it out and stuff, but it brought more to the forefront that how we have, being nice to each other isn't an effort, it just flows, and that nasty words can have a lingering effect.
Yeah, that's a tough one, is the tone at how everyone talks to each other.
Yeah.
And because at the moment we've got where the kids are correcting each other and they're parenting each other, we're like, no, you're not the parent. No. Otherwise there's this energy just being bounced around in amongst everyone, and that's not right.
No.
The disciplinary parenting stuff needs to come from the parents to the kids, not from the kids to the kids. So that's something we're trying to get on top of.
Yeah, everyone's got to deal with their own side of the street. You've got to deal with you can only affect your change, you can only deal with your reactions. I think it's a big brother thing with our son. He really likes to tell his sister what to do.
No, but they both do it. They both do it. Like if one of them is messing around with the qigong, well, no, it's normally her, isn't it?
It's always him telling her what to do. It's the.
But they both do it.
Yeah, they do.
They both do it.
They do, but yeah. it's a work in progress. But I think we've come leaps and bounds when we've brought them into our work, whereas before it used to be we're the parents, you do as you're told, you're the kids, whereas through the awakening process our whole relationship with the kids is, they are still small, and they're 9 and 7, but obviously they were 7 and 5 when this all started. Wow. 6. She was 6.
Yeah,
makes me feel old when we talk about how old the kids are.
Let's wrap it up, because these are bite-size episodes. So,
but anyway, what I'm saying is that the relationship that we've got within the family has changed a lot, and there's a lot more respect, and there's a lot more listening, and just accepting each other for who we are at the same time.
Have you got any resources that have helped on the parenting side of things? Any Telegram groups that have helped with parenting? Any Facebook groups or anything? There was so many at the beginning. It's really difficult to get a particular group because it depends on where you are located in the world. But it's reaching out and finding like-minded people, knowing that you're not alone, and there will be people close by, or within a reasonable distance that you can drive to and meet up with for coffee chats, and they are on Telegram and Facebook and stuff, and you can find them. I think it was just a lot of connecting with people closer by, and then finding out all the legalities, because I dived quite deep and I'm very involved in the legal side of what we can do as parents to protect our kids, so to speak. But that's all mainly Spain based. I tried to keep it as local as possible. Yeah. Okay, so.
But if you have any questions, just put something in the comments or reach out. I'll be more than happy to try and help.
Okay, and my sort of final tip would be just, if you're on the learning path and you're learning new stuff, don't be afraid to talk to your kids about it, you know, or your parents.
Yeah.
And you never know you never know what stage they're at through their own journey, but everyone's got to go through this development, you know, and I think it never stops. I don't think it ever stops when we talk about how many different dimensions there are. So yeah, that's it. Don't be afraid to talk to your kids and bring them in on the things that you're learning, even though you might think it's a bit spiritual, a bit woo-woo. Don't worry about it, because the sooner everyone's integrated to that, the more harmonious the home situation is going to be.
Yeah, and no matter what age it is that you're trying to either talk to your parents or you're trying to talk to the kids, whichever age group it is, if you come from a place of love, you talk from the heart, it's always going to be accepted within your own family unit, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.